Bienvenidos todos a un nuevo programa de Panorama. En esta ocasión tenemos una invitada muy especial que es la senadora linda Dorcena Forry. Ella es senadora estatal por el Distrito Primero de Suffolk, que incluye South Boston, Dorchester, Mattapan y Hyde Park. Con ella vamos a conversar un poco sobre las preguntas que aparecerán en la boleta electoral de Massachusetts y de Boston el 8 de noviembre. Como bien sabemos, ese día no solo vamos a votar por el próximo presidente de Estados Unidos, sino también localmente vamos a ser consultados acerca de 4 temas fundamentales que son, en primer lugar, la expansión de la licencia de casinos en nuestro estado. En segundo lugar, la expansión de escuelas charter. En tercer lugar, sobre la venta de productos derivados de animales que han sido confinados de una manera cruel. La cuarta pregunta tiene que ver con la legalización de la marihuana. Y hay una quinta pregunta que tiene que ver con la activación del Community Preservation Act aquí en Boston, que es básicamente un impuesto que se cobraría a los propietarios de casas para que ese dinero sea utilizado para preservar espacios abiertos, patrimonios históricos y construir viviendas accesibles para personas de bajos ingresos.
First, I'm happy to be here with everyone at Panorama, and question 5 is important because it's about housing. And how do we help here in the city of Boston with the Community Preservation Act? It's the CPA number 5 question, dealing how can we raise more money to create more housing that's affordable. It's a very important question. I can tell you I'm the chair of housing in the Senate, and we work on housing issues around the whole state, but this would allow our communities to be able to raise money internally, millions and millions of dollars to help build housing that's affordable, not just here in the city of Boston. Like for us in Boston, we'll raise money for Boston, but other communities as well. And we're saying that it's probably about 25 cents a year that we would be voting to do here in Boston to raise millions of dollars to help with housing for our seniors and for our kids getting out of college, for our young professionals who want to stay here but can't live and pay the big dollars.
Algunas de las personas que se oponen a esta ley, a este proyecto de ley, alegan que no quieren pagar un impuesto adicional a la propiedad. Yo voy a preguntarle a la senadora en este momento qué opina sobre este impuesto. Many of the people that oppose this project say that they will have to pay another tax, and in a state which has already high taxes, and they are not sure where are you using or where are the funds for that.
Okay.
So what would you say about it?
Okay, I'll say this. You know, there are 50 states in this great America, and our taxes are not as high as other states, right? But again, this is a surcharge, a 1% surcharge. It would be on us, myself, you, whoever lives in Boston. Other communities will do it differently. But for Boston, it's a 1% surcharge, and it would be really about $24 a year that we would be paying into a fund, into a money that would go towards a couple things. Building more housing that's affordable. It would go for open space, so beautiful park space if people would like to see that, and it would go into historic preservation. So these old buildings that are around the city of Boston, putting money into preserving them and turning them into housing as well, if that's something that the community would like to see.
Es importante destacar que este impuesto lo tendrían que pagar solo los propietarios de Massachusetts. No son todas las personas, son simplemente las personas que tienen propiedades aquí en el estado, y sería un impuesto adicional del 1%, que equivale a un promedio de $25 al año, más o menos, que traería una ganancia adicional para que el estado lo utilice en la construcción de nuevas viviendas accesibles y para la preservación del patrimonio natural e histórico de la ciudad.
These additional surcharges is going to benefit them. Right? So it's going to benefit you and your family and your kids coming out of college, or your grandparents that want to stay in the community where they grew up and it's just too expensive to buy a house. And so this is why we're trying to raise this money, because we hear from all communities, right? That, wow, we want to stay in Boston, but it's so expensive. How can we stay here? And this is one way to do it. And I hope people will vote yes on question 5.
Okay. Do you think you can bring that money from other programs or other laws?
Okay, I'll tell you now that in the city of Boston, as a state senator, we work with various funding pots, right? So there's federal dollars, there's state dollars here in tax credits that we give to organizations, we give to the cities and towns to build housing, but that's not enough. We know that's not enough because kids are graduating college, people who lived in a community, you know, it gets too expensive. You were renting forever, right? Or you didn't buy a house and now you're being priced out. So we know there's a need for more housing that's affordable, and that's important because it's a affordable housing, which means that there is an income limit, right? But there's a range. It's not just the low income person, yes, but there's also the middle income, the professionals, the young professionals, the people who are married with 2 kids who can't buy a house here in the city of Boston. $24 a year, right? Which means it's $2 a month, right? That is something. $2 a month. That is not that bad, right? But again, I want to say, if you're low income or if you're a senior and you don't have the income, you won't pay the surcharge. So it's only for people who have the capacity.
Even if you are a homeowner. Even if you're...
Yeah, because there is these, they're putting in it like these income restrictions as well, because if you're under a certain amount, then you will not be asked to pay that surcharge, which is good, because it's about us picking up, you know, for other people and helping.
Otra de las preguntas que van a ser consultadas en la boleta electoral de noviembre tiene que ver con la expansión de escuelas charter en nuestro estado. Actualmente existe un límite que impide que haya más escuelas charter y esto está generando cierta polémica porque, bueno, hay muchos estudiantes que están en listas de espera interminables y hay también padres que se quejan de la calidad educativa de las escuelas de distrito. Entonces queríamos consultar también con la senadora cuál es su opinión sobre la pregunta 2, que tiene que ver con la expansión de escuelas charter en nuestro estado. So what do you think about question 2 and the charter schools?
Yeah, so question 2, I mean, I have to tell you, you know, I support charter schools. We have charter schools here now that are doing great work for our children. It's a charter public school, but I also support our district public schools, right? Charter schools and public schools need to come together and figure out the best practices for our children.
What committees are you currently working on in the Senate right now? Yeah.
Okay, yes. So I am currently the Senate Chair of Housing. So again, that's why CPA and question 5 is important, that everyone supports it. Housing is a big issue, like I said before, so I'm chairwoman of the Housing Committee. I am also the chair of the Senate Committee on Intergovernmental Affairs. And that committee is, I'm looking at how do we get more federal dollars coming into Massachusetts. So we're working with our congressional delegation, we're working with the Baker administration, and we're just figuring out what are some things we can do creatively to bring more money coming in.
Hay otra pregunta que está generando mucha polémica actualmente que va a estar en la boleta electoral del 8 de noviembre, que es la pregunta 4 y tiene que ver con la legalización de la marihuana con fines recreativos. Ya recordemos que la marihuana con fines medicinales ya fue aprobada en un referéndum pasado y en esta oportunidad vamos a votar exclusivamente por la legalización de la marihuana con fines recreativos, que podrá ahora ser consumida y producida por adultos mayores de 21 años. Vamos a consultarle a la senadora también cuál es su opinión sobre este tema tan importante y que ha generado tanta polémica en nuestra comunidad.
Question 4 is about legalization of marijuana. And I can tell you, I served on the Senate Committee on marijuana, where we went to Colorado to go take a look at the state that was the first in the country to legalize it. I do not have a problem with adults using marijuana, okay? You're an adult, you can smoke marijuana. However, there are concerns around the edibles, where they do candy with marijuana products. There are cookies, there are chocolate candy bars, where there are serious concerns about that. The regulating those kind of marketing of it as well is very critical, because in Colorado there are serious issues. You know, as an individual, you can grow 12 plants in your house, or you could grow up to 100 plants in your house. And so we want to make sure that the regulation is correct here. And so number 4 is up in the air for me, right? Because I support adult use. However, there are concerns around the edibles, and how do we regulate that and make sure that the potency and that the design of candy bars doesn't make it look enticing for children, right? If you have cartoons and rainbows, then kids are going to think it's regular candy. And there's been kids who have ingested marijuana-made products, cannabinoids products, and have gone to the hospital. And so we need to make sure that we do right here in the Commonwealth. And at this time, how I'm feeling now, it would be no for question 4.
Okay, so you are in favor, but you think that we need more regulations?
You know what? I'm in favor in terms of adult use, but absolutely there needs to be real regulations. Because when I was in Colorado, it was very scary. When you saw a Kit Kat, right? Kit Kat, the candy bar, instead of it saying Kit Kat, it said Cool Cat. Like a cool cat was on the cover of it, right? Or you have gummy bears they're selling gummy bears, 10 gummy bears. It's laced with THC, which is the hallucinogen found in marijuana plants. So they spray it on the gummy bears and you put 10 of them in a packet and you can sell it. But the thing is, you're supposed to only eat one gummy bear and wait 20 minutes before you eat another one. But they're gummy bears. We're gonna eat the whole thing. We're gonna eat all 10, and then that is going to be an issue here in our Commonwealth. So, there's a lot of concern around it.
Okay. Después de esta interesante entrevista con la senadora Linda Dorcena Forry, bueno, ella nos comentó que está a favor de la implementación del Community Preservation Act en Boston. También está a favor de las escuelas charter, aunque reconoce que hay ciertas fallas que tendrían que mejorarse en esta propuesta, y también se opone a la legalización de la marihuana, también porque considera que hay algunas restricciones que deberían integrarse en la propuesta y que aún no lo están. Muchas gracias a todos por mantenerse en sintonía y nos vemos en una próxima oportunidad.